Hey guys! Tonight we plunge into the sweaty, soot-stained world of a medieval blacksmith, where sparks fly like angry fireflies and every hammer swing feels like a bet against your bones. Picture yourself in a smoky shed, the air thick with scorched iron, your hands blistering before you hit puberty. This isn't the slow-motion, sparkly montage from some fantasy flick. Oh no, you probably won't survive this without a limp or a cough like a dying crow. We'll also wander through the mystic haze of ancient alchemy and creep into Cappadocia's eerie underground cities. But first, let's forge your fate in the fire. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's wild to see who's joining us globally. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're born into a world that doesn't care about your dreams unless they involve hammering nails straight. Your family's forge is your cradle, the scent of roasted iron baked into your swaddling cloth. By the time you're toddling, you're dodging embers. By 6, you're your father's apprentice, a fancy medieval term for tiny unpaid assistant with 0 rights and a face full of soot. Forget chasing butterflies or skipping stones. Your toys are tongs, your playground a dirt floor beside a furnace hot enough to singe eyebrows. Historians note blacksmithing was often hereditary, ensuring skills and suffering stayed in the family. Your father, a hulking figure with tree bark hands, teaches you. His vocabulary just grunts and hit it harder. His scowl, etched from smoke and tax collectors, is lesson 1, this life isn't kind. The forge is a beast, a roaring, smoky monster that never sleeps. You learn its moods, how to coax fire with coal, judge heat by iron's glow, avoid sparks with your name on them. Days start pre-dawn, hauling water buckets heavier than your runaway dog. You pump bellows, sweep ash, stack coal, all before breakfast, a crust of bread tasting of regret. By 10, you're swinging a hammer, arms screaming, father pointing out every wobble. Fun fact, medieval kids used toy hammers as early as 5. Per York's Archaeological finds a quirky prep for trades. You're swearing like a sailor by 12, though sailors probably learned curses from you. This isn't a job, it's a sentence. The forge doesn't care if you're tired or sick. Holidays. Cute. Someone needs a plow fixed, a sword sharpened. Free time is the gap between jobs. You're learning a trade, but really mastering pain tolerance, heat resistance, not crying when you burn your hand again. Your skin darkens from smoke, not sun. Your tunic and apron smell of scorched wool and despair. Historians still argue if blacksmiths were artisans or laborers, some dined with lords, others scraped by on eggs. You're not feeling love either way. Your social life? Gone. Village kids chase chickens or milk goats. You envy them, despite their cheese and manure stink. They'll be farmers, shepherds humble, but no molten metal. You craft nails by the 100, each bent, twisted, reheated, till straight for some lord's coop. If lucky, father lets you hammer solo with a lecture on every mistake. I'm tired doesn't exist. Fatigue is for weaklings. Burnout for candles. You swing, sweat, and avoid sobbing publicly. Joke you're so used to burns. You could grill bread on your palm for a side hustle. The forge reshapes you, not poetically. Arms strengthen, but your back hunches from hauling iron. Hands blistered, cracked, soot-stained beyond washing. Burns are daily badges. New ones cover old scabs. Your knees creak, shoulders pop, fingers flinch at hot tools. You're a kid, feeling besieged, yet pride flickers when a nail shapes right, iron bends to will. It's fleeting. Yours. Weird tidbit folklore claimed blacksmiths bound spirits into iron, cursing blades. Villagers whisper you're half-wizard, still haggle over horseshoes. You're no mage, just avoiding dropping hot ingots. The village depends on you, even if they don't say it. Knights need swords, farmers need plows, bakers need oven doors. You're the guy who keeps the world turning, one nail at a time, but gratitude rarer than a cool breeze in your shed. They show up, muddy and entitled, with broken hinges or dull axes, saying, "I know you're busy, but could you just..." You nod, hammer, hope they pay with something better than a half-dead chicken. Joke 2, you got paid with a goose that bit. You guess who's not at next year's fair. Your worth is in your work, not your smile. By night, you collapse on a straw pallet, muscles throbbing, ears ringing from the anvil's song. Sleep's no escape. You dream of sparks, missed strikes. Your body's hardening like iron, but not heroically, just survival. You're a blacksmith's son. The forge is your fate. No crowns, no glory, just soot, sweat, another day's labor. You're learning to survive mistakes, overheating iron, misstriking nails, each earning a grunt or flying horseshoe from father. Questions don't ask. Asking why the fire needs coal gets a weak, silent treatment. You observe, absorb, obey. He's not cruel, just forged by the same fire, forging you. You're no longer just a kid stumbling around the forge. You're part of it, a cog in a machine that never stops grinding. The forge is your world now, a hot, smoky beast that demands every breath, every thought. You wake before dawn, the air thick with charcoal and iron tang, hands aching from yesterday's labor. The fire's low, but never out coals glow like angry eyes, waiting for you to feed them. You trudge to the bellows, pumping air until flames roar, arms burning as much as the wood. This isn't a job, it's a marriage, and the forge is a spouse that never lets you rest. You're not shaping iron, you're being shaped, hammered into something hard, unyielding, and scarred. The rhythm of the forge is your heartbeat. Hiss of coals, clang of hammer, sizzle of hot metal in water. It's a brutal symphony, and you're the conductor, whether awake or half-dead, on your feet. You've learned to read the fire's mood by its color: orange for nails, white-hot for swords. You know which coals burn fast, which stones hold heat like a grudge. Your body moves in time with the work pump, strike, turn, dip, without thinking. Historians say medieval forges could reach 200 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt your dreams of a day off. You stop noticing the heat, not because it's easier, but because it's your air. Your skin's a canvas of soot and scars, your tunic a singed rag that smells like despair and old grease. Joke 1, you're so grimy. The village pigs think you're family. Every day's the same, yet never boring. You're making nails 1 hour, horseshoes the next, then fixing a plow some farmer broke wrestling a stump. The forge doesn't care about variety, it cares about results. You're not just hammering iron, you're hammering time, trying to finish before the next villager barges in with a broken hinge and a sob story. Your father's there, always, his scowl a permanent fixture, like the anvil. He doesn't praise, but a grunt means you didn't ruin that axe head, so you take it as a win. You're learning fast perfection isn't optional. A bent nail means rework. A weak blade means a knight's death and your family's reputation. You swing harder, sweat more, pray your aim's true. The forge owns your senses. Your eyes sting from smoke, squinting through haze to spot flaws in glowing metal. Your ears ring with the anvil's song, a high-pitched whine that follows you to bed. Your nose? It's given up. Everything smells like fire and regret. Your hands, though, they're alive, feeling every vibration, every slip of the hammer. They're calloused now, fingers thick as turnips, but they still burn when you grab a hot tong by mistake. Quirky tidbit: some blacksmiths believed iron had a spirit that fought back if you rushed the work. Maybe that's why your horseshoe just warped again. You curse under your breath, hoping father didn't hear. He did. His glare could smelt ore. The village depends on you, but you're no hero. You're background noise. The guy who keeps plows cutting and swords slashing, they need you. but they don't love you. A farmer drops off a broken rake, saying, "Just a quick fix," then lingers, complaining about his cow. You nod, hammer, wish he'd leave. Payment's a loaf of stale bread or a promise of eggs next month. Joke 2 last week, you got paid with a chicken so old it owed rent soup was tough that night. You're learning to haggle, but it's a losing game. They act like you're lucky to fix their junk, as if you're not choking on smoke for it. Your body's paying the price. Your back's hunching from hauling coal, shoulders popping like dry twigs. Your knees creak when you crouch, and your hands, let's not sugarcoat it, are a wreck. Blisters layer over scars, fingernails half gone, knuckles swollen like walnuts. You're 12, but your joints sound like a 60-year-old cart. Sleep's no refuge. You collapse on a straw pallet, muscles throbbing, dreaming of missed strikes and father's grunts. You wake to the same clang, same heat, same life. Historians still argue whether blacksmiths lived better than peasants. Some had coin for ale, others starved in lean times. You're not sure which you are yet, but hunger's a familiar guest. The forge is a teacher, cruel but effective. You're learning to gauge heat by sight, to strike with just enough force, to listen to the metal's hum. Mistakes cost more than pride. A botched sword could kill a knight. A weak hinge could doom a gate. You're not just making things, you're holding the village together, one nail at a time. But there's a strange comfort in the work. When a horseshoe fits perfectly, when a blade gleams, you feel it a flicker of control in a world that gives you none. It's not joy, but it's close. You're starting to understand why Father stays, why he swings through pain and smoke. Here's a weird one. Village kids whisper you're cursed, that the forge's fire steals your soul. They dare each other to peek through your shed's cracks, like you're a beast in a cage. You laugh it off. But sometimes, late at night, you wonder. The forge feels alive, its heat a pulse, its smoke a breath. You shake it off, grab the hammer, keep swinging. The work doesn't wait for doubts. You're learning to love the rhythm, not the burns, but the moment when iron yields, when you're not just a kid, but a creator. Then the next order comes, the fire roars, and you're back to it. Your father's your shadow, his lessons carved into your bones. He shows you how to temper steel, how to fold iron for strength, how to ignore a knight's sneer when he calls your work passable. You don't ask questions. Last time you did, a horseshoe flew past your ear. You watch, mimic, endure. He's not soft, but he's not heartless. Once, he slipped you a dried apple when Mother wasn't looking. It's the closest to praise you'll get. You're his apprentice, his legacy, and someday you'll scowl at your own kid, muttering, "Hit it harder." For now, you're surviving, learning, hardening. The forge isn't just a place, it's your God. It demands sacrifice, your youth, your health, your dreams of anything else. You're not free, but you're necessary. Every nail you shape, every blade you sharpen, keeps the village alive. You're not a knight, not a priest, but without you, their world falls apart. You're starting to see it, even if they don't. Joke 3, you're so tied to the forge, if it went cold, you'd probably freeze like a confused dragon. You're not sure who you are outside this shed, this heat, this hammer. And maybe that's the point. The forge doesn't just make iron, it makes you. By now, you're not fighting the rhythm. You move with it, breathe with it, live with it. The forge is home, cruel but constant. You're not a child anymore, not really. You're a blacksmith in training, and training never ends. Your hands hurt, your back aches, but you swing the hammer anyway. The fire's always hungry, the village always needy, and you're always there, feeding one, serving the other. This is your life, and it's only getting harder. But somewhere, deep in the soot and sweat, you're finding your place, one strike at a time. Your hammer's not just a tool anymore, it's an extension of your arm, a partner in this endless dance with fire and steel. You swing it with precision now, each strike a conversation between you, the anvil, and the glowing iron. But don't get cocky. Your tools are as much your enemies as your allies. The forge is a battlefield, and your tongs, chisel, and files are soldiers that bite back when you're careless. You're learning to wield them, but they're leaving their marks on you, 2 burns, cuts, and bruises that tell a story of survival. The forge doesn't care about your skill. It only cares that you keep up. Your hammer's the king of your tool bench, heavy enough to shape iron, but light enough to swing for hours. You've named it, let's call it thud, because every hit sings a dull, satisfying note. But thud's not gentle. Miss a strike, and your fingers feel the shock, vibrating like a tuning fork. You've bled more times than you can count. Knuckles grazed when the hammer glances off. Historians know medieval blacksmiths used sledgehammers up to 10 pounds for heavy work, their arms sculpted by necessity, not vanity. Your shoulder clicks now, a haunted creak from swinging thud too long. Joke one you're so attached to. Thud? You'd probably sleep with it if it didn't bruise your ribs. Then there's your tongs, those sneaky, clumsy claws you wrestle with daily. They're meant to grip hot iron, but half the time, they slip, dropping a red-hot nail into the dirt. You've burned your fingertips so often. They're tougher than your boots. Grabbing a glowing rod feels like shaking hands with a dragon do it wrong. And you're cursing loud enough to scare the village cats. You've learned to grip it like you mean it, as Father growls, but the tongs still pinch your palm when you least expect it. You've considered tossing them into the fire for revenge, but you'd be lost without them. Your chisel's another story, a once sharp blade now dulled from splitting iron, scraping slag, and prying open a stuck door when the miller's cart jammed. It's less a tool, more a suggestion of cutting, but you make it work. Files, punches, rivet sets. Your bench looks like a torture rack, and it kind of is. Every tool's jabbed, sliced, or crushed you at some point. Your fingers flinch at new tools, like they know pain's coming. Quirky tidbits some blacksmiths swore by lucky tools, refusing to replace a worn hammer, believing it held their skill. You're not that superstitious, but you eye thud with respect, it's earned it. Your anvil's the heart of the forge, a squat, iron beast that takes every blow without complaint. It's pocked from years of strikes, each dent a memory of your father's work and his father's before him. You've learned its sweet spots, where the metal sings true, and its dead zones, where strikes fall flat. It's your altar, your stage, but it's unforgiving. Lean too close, and you'll bash your shin, trust me. You've done it twice this week. The anvil's weight, often over 200 pounds in medieval forges, anchors your world. Without it, you're just a sweaty guy waving a hammer. Your apron's supposed to protect you, but it's more like a smoldering hug. Scorched leather catches hot shards, holding them close to your skin like a grudge. It's stiff as a board in winter, stitched with burns that tell your story. You've singed it so often, it's practically fireproof, but it still lets embers sneak through to nip your thighs. Joke too, your apron's so charred, the village tailor thinks you're cursed or just really bad at dodging sparks. You wear it daily, a second skin that smells of sweat, smoke, and something you'd rather not name. These tools aren't just objects. They're your life. Lose one, and you're done no work, no coin, no food. You sharpen them, oil them, line them up each night like soldiers. If a chisel snaps, you're scavenging for scraps to replace it. Your fathers taught you to care for them like family, because they are, but they're a cruel family, always demanding, always punishing. Your hands bear the proof calluses thick as hide, scars crisscrossing like a map. You can crush walnuts with your grip, but dexterity's gone. You drop bread like it's a hot ingot. The forge's tools shape more than iron, they shape you. Every swing of thud builds your arms but grinds your shoulders. Every slip of the tongs teaches caution but costs a burn. You're learning precision, patience, and how to ignore pain. Historians still argue whether blacksmiths were craftsmen or laborers. Some forged royal swords, others churned out nails for pennies. You're both, depending on the day. A knight's blade pays well, but a farmer's plow keeps you fed. Either way, your tools don't care about status, they just demand you swing. Here's a weird one, village kids whisper. Your tools are enchanted, that your hammer strikes true because spirits guide it. They dare each other to touch your anvil, like it'll curse them. You scoff, but late at night, when the forge is quiet, you wonder. Thud feels alive sometimes, heavy with purpose. You shake it off, grab the tongs, keep working. Superstition won't fix that bent horseshoe, but focus will. The forge is no place for fairy tales except the one where you survive another day. Your tools are a paradox. They're your power, letting you bend iron, forge blades, hold the village together. But they're your prison, tying you to the fire, the smoke, the pain. You bled for them, cursed them, but you need them. Without Thud, you're nothing. Without the anvil, you're silent. You're starting to love them, not for their kindness, they have none, but for their truth. They don't lie. A good strike rings clear. A bad one clunks. In a world of haggling farmers and sneering knights, your tools are honest, even when they hurt. By now, you're a master of their quirks. You know how to angle the chisel for a clean cut, how to twist the tongs to grip tight. You've learned to swing Thud with just enough force to listen to the anvil's hum. But mastery doesn't mean ease. Your hands shake in the cold, your back aches from bending, and your fingers, let's be real, are more scar than skin. Joke 3. Your hands are so rough, you could sand wood with them and charge for it. You're not just using tools, you're becoming one. Forged by fire, shaped by pain. The forge is your world, and your tools are its language. Every clang, every hiss, every burn is a word in a story you're writing with sweat and steel. You're not a kid anymore, you're a blacksmith, or close enough. The village needs you, even if they don't say it. Your tools make you necessary, but they also break you, one strike at a time. You swing Thud, grip the tongs, pray the iron holds. This is your life, and your tools are its pulse. You're not just hammering iron anymore, you're holding the village together. One nail, one horseshoe, one plow at a time. The forge's fire burns in your bones, and its rhythm is your pulse. But out there, beyond the smoky shed, the world keeps turning because of you. You're the blacksmith, the guy everyone needs but nobody thanks. Knights ride, farmers sow, bakers bake, all on the strength of your work, yet you're as invisible as the soot on your face. You're the medieval equivalent of customer service, tech support, and roadside assistance rolled into one sweaty, scarred package, and the village treats you like you were born to fix their messes. Every day, someone barges into your forge, muddy boots tracking dirt, holding a broken tool or a sob story. The knight needs a new sword because he tested his old one on a tree genius move. The farmer's plow snapped, again, because he hit a rock the size of a cow. The baker's oven door jams, the monk's bell cracks, the shepherd's gate latch won't close. Guess who's on call, you? Every single time, historians estimate blacksmiths produced everything from nails to armor, often working 12-hour days to meet village demands. You nod, grab your hammer Thud, remember him, and get to work, while they hover, asking, "Is it ready yet?" Like you're conjuring magic instead of sweating through smoke. They act like you're lucky to serve them, as if standing in a furnace is your dream job. I know you're busy, they say, dropping a mangled rake. But could you just... That phrase haunts you, a medieval earworm. You fix their rake, sharpen their sickle, forge their hinges, but thanks rarer than a quiet day. They nod, maybe toss you a loaf of stale bread, and walk off like you owe them. Joke 1, you once fixed a knight's dagger, and he thanked you by complaining it wasn't shiny enough polish it yourself. Sir Sparkles, You're learning fast your worth is in your hands, not their gratitude. The village runs on your work, but you're background noise, a necessity they take for granted. Without you, their plows break, their horses limp, their gates swing open for bandits. You're the glue in their world, but they don't see it. You forge nails for barns, blades for battles, hooks for pots, small things that keep life moving. Yet when they praise anyone, it's the knight who swings your sword, the priest who blesses your nails, or the miller with the extra fat goat. You just the guy who smells like smoke and shame. Historians still argue whether blacksmiths were respected craftsmen or lowly laborers. Some were invited to guild feasts. Others begged for scraps. You feel both, depending on who's paying. Payment's a gamble. Coin's nice, but rare. Most barter with goods or promises they forget by market day. You've been paid with eggs, turnips, a half-dead chicken that stared at you like it knew its fate. Joke 2, one guy paid with a goose that bit your ankle. Now you're wondering if goose soup's worth the revenge. You haggle like a merchant, but it's a losing game. They act shocked when you ask for fair trade, like hammering hot iron is as easy as milking their cow. You're not just a blacksmith. You're a negotiator, a beggar, a diplomat in a scorched apron. You fix more than tools, you fix their mistakes. A bent hinge from someone sitting on a gate. Your problem. A dagger snapped in a drunken brawl. Your fault. A mystery chunk of iron they need fixed. Yep, still you. You've become the village's last resort, the guy who makes their chaos work. Quirky tidbit, some medieval blacksmiths were called to court as fixers, not just for tools, but for disputes, their reputation for fairness outweighing their soot. You're not there yet, but you're starting to see why nobody else steps up when things break. The forge is your stage, but the audience never claps. You're crafting life's essentials, yet you're unseen. A knight's victory depends on your blade, but he gets the glory. A farmer's harvest relies on your plow, but he boasts about his yield. You're the foundation, not the hero, and it stings. But deep down, you know the truth they couldn't last a week without you. Their fields would stall, their homes would crumble, their horses would stumble. You're not just fixing iron, you're fixing their world. One swing at a time. You're starting to take pride in it, not the loud kind, but the quiet sort that warms you when a horseshoe fits perfectly or a blade gleams just right. You're necessary, even if they don't say it. You see it in the way the village keeps moving, the way their lives don't fall apart. You're the guy who keeps the wheels turning, the gates swinging, the fires burning. It's not glory, but it's power in its own way. You're learning to live with the smoke, the sweat, the silence of their thanks. But let's be real, it's exhausting. You're not just working, you're surviving. The forge demands your body, your time, your soul. You're up before dawn, hammering past dusk, eating standing up to avoid another quick fix request mid-bite. Your hands are scarred, your back's hunching, and your lungs well. They've signed a lease with the smoke. You're not old, but you feel it. Every joint creaking like a rusty gate you haven't fixed yet. Joke 3. You're so tired, you'd sleep through a dragon attack unless it needed its claws sharpened. Then you're on call. The village needs you, but they don't understand you. They see the fire, the hammer, the soot, and think that's all you are. They don't see the skill, the patience, the pain. They don't know how you gauge heat by color, how you listen to the metals hum, how you shape chaos into order. They don't care that you're breaking yourself to keep them whole. But you keep going, because the forge doesn't stop, and neither do you. You're the blacksmith, the unseen hero, the guy who fixes what they break, sometimes late at night, when the forge is quiet and the village sleeps. You wonder if it's worth it. The burns, the aches, the endless demands. Why do you stay? Then you look at Thoth, at the anvil, at the glowing coals. And you know, this is your world, your rhythm, your legacy. You're not a knight, not a lord, but you're something more. You're necessary, and that's enough, for now. You grab your tongs, stoke the fire, and wait for the next villager to show up with a broken tool and no thanks. This is your life, and you're forging it, one unthanked strike at a time. The forge's fire never seems to cool, and neither does your work. But the world outside your smoky shed shifts with the tides of war and peace. When swords clash and armies march, your hammer sings a song of coin and purpose, piling up orders faster than you can stoke the coals. But when the banners fall and truces are signed, your forge grows quiet, and your belly growls louder than the bellows. War and want define your days, pulling you between fleeting wealth and scraping by, as the village's needs ebb and flow like a fickle river. When war breaks out, you're the busiest man in the village. Knights swarm your forge, their dented armor and dull blades demanding your skill. Arrowheads, horseshoes, lance tips orders pour in like rain in a storm. You're hammering from dawn to midnight, the fire roaring hotter than ever. Historians note that during the 100 Years' War, blacksmiths could earn triple their usual wages, forging weapons for battles like Agincourt. Your hands blister, your back screams, but your purse jingles with coin, and for once you're eating more than stale bread and turnip stew. The alehouse debt paid off, and you might even buy a new apron one without holes burned through it. War's chaos is your golden hour, and you're not complaining. But peace? That's a different beast. When the fighting stops, so do the orders. No more swords to sharpen, no more armor to mend. The nights ride off, leaving you with a quiet forge and a sinking feeling. You turn to making nails, hinges, or the occasional pot, but the profit's thin as a winter frost. A farmer shows up with a sickle to sharpen, offering 3 onions as payment. You haggle, but he's got nothing else, and you're not proud enough to say no to onions. Joke 1, you're so desperate, you're considering forging a spoon for that onion soup fancy dining, blacksmith style. You're not just a craftsman now, you're a merchant, begging for fair trade while the village acts like you're overcharging for miracles. The shift from war to peace isn't just economic, it's personal. During war, you're indispensable, the guy who keeps the army moving. Knights nod at you, maybe even toss an extra coin. But in peacetime, you're back to being the soot-covered guy they barely notice. You're fixing plows for farmers who grumble about your prices, as if shaping hot iron is as easy as tossing seed. You miss the chaos, not the blood or burning villages, but the purpose, the rush of orders, the feeling of mattering. Historians still argue whether blacksmiths thrived more in war or peace records show some amassed small fortunes, while others starved when battles ceased. You're caught in that tug of war, your fate tied to the whims of lords and their squabbles. You've become a negotiator, a skill you never asked for. A villager wants a new gate latch but offers a sack of barley that's half mold. You counter with a request for eggs, knowing you'll probably get 2 if you're lucky. Payments rarely coin, it's goods, promises, or nothing at all. One time, a shepherd paid with a lamb that kept bleeding through the night cute until it ate your only clean tunic. Joke 2, you're starting to think sheep are worse hagglers than farmers. At least farmers don't chew your clothes. You're learning to smile through the bartering, to nod when they say, "Next harvest, I'll pay double," knowing they won't. War is not just about swords, it's about survival. Horseshoes wear out faster under panicked cavalry charges, and you're forging them by the dozen. Each one's a small victory, a hoof that won't fail on the battlefield. But every order comes with pressure. A weak shoe could lame a knight's horse, costing a life and your reputation. You work faster, harder, the fire's heat blending with your own. Quirky tidbits, some medieval blacksmiths etched tiny symbols into horseshoes for luck, believing it protected riders. You've tried it, scratching a crude star into a shoe, but you're not sure if it's for the knight or your own sanity. Peacetime forces you to get creative. You make household goods cauldrons, hooks, cooking spits, but they don't pay like weapons. You're forging keys for doors nobody locks, patching pots that should have been scrapped years ago. The village expects wizard-level work for stable boy wages, and raising prices is a non-starter. They glare like you've cursed their crops when you ask for a fair rate. You're tempted to point out that molten iron doesn't bend itself, but you bite your tongue. You're not just a blacksmith, you're a diplomat, soothing egos while your stomach rumbles. The forge is your constant, war or peace. Its fire doesn't care about politics or truces, it just needs feeding. You're up before dawn, stoking coals, hammering whatever the day demands. In war, you're a hero of sorts, even if nobody says it. In peace, you're a grunt, fixing the same tools you fixed last month. The contrast wears on you feast or famine, respect or indifference. You're learning to live with both, to find pride in a well-made hinge even when it pays in promises. The forge teaches resilience, if nothing else. Sometimes you catch yourself wishing for a skirmish, just a small one, a border dispute to bring the knights back with their coin. It's a dark thought, one you'd never say aloud, but it's there, flickering like the coals. War means work means food, and food means surviving another winter. You're not proud of it, but you're practical. Joke 3, you're so desperate for orders. You'd forge a sword for a bandit if he paid upfront cash only. No stolen geese. You shake off the thought, grab thud, and keep hammering, because that's what you do. The village doesn't see your struggle. They see the fire, the hammer, the finished blade. Not the nights you go to bed hungry or the days you work through pain. They don't know how you gauge heat by instinct, how you shape iron with precision born of years of burns. You're their fix-it man, their necessity, but never their equal. Yet you keep going because the forge doesn't stop, and neither can you. Every nail, every shoe, every blade is a piece of you, holding their world together. Deep down, you know your worth, even if they don't. War or peace, you're the one they run to when things break. You're the reason their plows cut, their gates hold, their swords strike true. You're not a knight or a lord, but you're something they can't replace. The forge is your prison, but it's also your power. You swing thud, stoke the fire, and wait for the next order, knowing that whether it's war or want, you'll keep the village alive, one strike at a time. Your body's no longer just yours, it's the forge's, a tool hammered by years of fire and iron as much as the metal you shape. The soot, the scars, the aches, they're not just marks. They're your story, written in calluses and creaking joints. You're still young, but you feel like you've lived 2 lives, each swing of thud grinding you down a little more. The village leans on you, their unseen hero, but the weight of their needs is breaking you, piece by piece, and the social world around you only adds to the strain. Your hands are a ruin. Once soft, they're now iron-tipped claws, blistered and cracked, soot so deep no river could wash it clean. You've lost fingernails, some ripped off clean, others not so lucky. Cuts are constant. A slip of the chisel or a rogue file bites you weakly. Burns. They're your daily autograph, sizzling when you grab a hot tong by mistake. Historians know medieval blacksmiths often died young, their lungs blackened by smoke, joints worn by repetitive strain. Your knuckles pop like dry twigs, and your grip, strong enough to crush walnuts, shakes when the winter chill seeps in. Joke 1, your hands are so rough you could sand a table and call it a craft fair. Your back's a tragedy, hunched from hauling coal and bending over the anvil. You're not even 20, but it creaks like a barn door in a storm. Your shoulders pop with every swing, a personal soundtrack to your labor. Your knees, they're staging a revolt, groaning when you crouch to stoke the fire. You're a teenager, but your body's auditioning for a role as a 70-year-old knight who lost 3 wars. Sleep's no escape. You collapse on a straw pallet, muscles throbbing, ears ringing with the anvil's echo. You dream of hammer swings, waking with phantom aches in places you didn't know could hurt. The village doesn't see this. They see the finished blade, the fixed plow, not the toll it takes. You're their fix-it man. But socially, you're an outsider. At the tavern, they part like you're a plague carrier, your smoky stench clearing benches. You sit in the corner, near a window if you're lucky, sipping ale that tastes faintly of ash. The innkeeper's kind, but even he wrinkles his nose. You're respected. Sure, but it's a distant respect, tinged with discomfort. They need you, but they don't want you too close. Joke 2. You're so smoky. The village kids think you're part dragon. Too bad dragons get better seats at the feast. Socially, you're caught in a strange limbo. Some blacksmiths, historians note, rose to prominence, forging for lords and earning guild memberships. Others were just laborers, barely above peasants. You're somewhere in between, fixing knight swords one day, bartering for eggs the next. The village women avoid you not because you're unkind, but because you smell like a burnt fence post. The men nod, maybe clap your shoulder, but their chatter's about crops or battles, not your world of fire and steel. You're invited to festivals, but your working someone's cart always breaks on market day. Your family's no social haven either. Your father's a mountain of grunts and glares, his affection shown in stern nods, or the rare dried apple slipped your way. Your mother keeps the hearth, but she's weary, her hands as calloused from washing your scorched tunics. Your younger siblings, if they're not already in the forge, eye you with awe and fear, knowing their turn's coming. The village kids, once your friends, now see you as the blacksmith's boy, a title that sets you apart. They play in fields while you pump bellows, their laughter a distant taunt. Quirky tidbits, some medieval villages had blacksmith dances, where smiths were mocked in jest for their soot-stained faces. Nobody invited you to that one. The forge isolates you, but it also defines you. You're not just a worker, you're a necessity, a role that gives you a strange pride. The guild, if your village has one, offers some camaraderie other craftsmen who get the grind. But guilds are rare in small towns, and yours is no city. You swap stories with the cooper or the tanner when they drop off tools. But it's brief. The forge calls you back. Socially, you're a loner by circumstance, your world shrinking to the shed's walls. Historians still argue whether blacksmiths were community pillars or outcasts. Some records show them leading village councils, others shunned for their grime. You feel both, depending on the day. Your body pays for this isolation. Your lungs are in a toxic romance with smoke. Coughing fits now part of the forge's rhythm. The air's a mix of coal dust, metal fumes, and regret. With no chimney to clear it, just a hole in the roof that leaks more smoke than it vents. Your eyes water, your throat scratches, your voice rasps like a goat farmer who gargles tar. You've tried a rag over your face, but it's sweaty and smells worse than the forge. Your muscles ache so bad you can't lie still, each toss on your palate a negotiation with pain. You're not just tired, you're a walking bruise. Yet, the forge hardens you. You're growing because of the pain, not despite it. Every burn, every ache, makes you stronger, or at least stubborn. You're not just surviving. You're becoming the forge's creature, shaped by heat and pressure like the iron you work. The village's social snubs sting, but you're starting to care less. You've got Thud, your anvil, your fire they don't judge, don't whisper behind your back, they just demand you keep up. Joke 3. You're so used to the forge's heat, you'd probably walk into a bonfire and call it a warm hug. The social world outside feels distant, but you're not invisible. The knight who sneers at your blade still rides with it. The farmer who haggles over a plow still sows his fields. You're woven into their lives, even if they don't invite you to the harvest dance. You hear their gossip marriages, feuds, the miller's new goat, and you fix their tools while they talk. You're not one of them, but you're theirs, a silent gear in their noisy world. You're starting to see your place, not in their circles, but in their survival. Your body's breaking, but your spirit's forging. You're not a kid anymore. You're a blacksmith, scars and all. The village's needs, their cold shoulders, their broken tools, they're yours to bear. You swing thud, stoke the fire, and keep going, because that's what you do. The forge doesn't care about your pain or their snubs, it just burns. And you burn with it, shaping iron, shaping yourself, one painful strike at a time. The forge has claimed you, body and soul. But it's not just yours to bear, it's a legacy, a chain of soot and steel stretching back generations and now pulling your son into its grip. You're no longer just the apprentice, you're the master, or close enough, and the weight of passing this trade to the next in line feels heavier than Thud ever did. The village still leans on you, their unthanked fixer. But now you're shaping more than iron, you're shaping a boy, your boy, into a blacksmith, just as your father shaped you. The social world around you, with its whispers and sidelong glances, only tightens the forge's hold on your family. Your son's barely 7, but he's already knee-deep in the forge's world. His hands, still small, clutch tongs instead of toys, his face streaked with soot before he has lost his first tooth. You see yourself in him wide-eyed, half-awed, half-terrified, just like you were when Father's shadow loomed over you. He's not playing with wooden swords or chasing goats. He's fetching coal, pumping bellows, dodging sparks that rain like angry stars. Historians note that medieval trades like blacksmithing were often passed down, with boys apprenticed as young as 6 to ensure the craft survived. You shout, don't flinch, when a spark grazes him, your voice echoing your father's, though it stings to hear it. The village watches, but not with kindness. They see your son as the blacksmith's boy, already marked by the forge's brand. At the market, mothers pull their children away, as if his soot is contagious. The other kids, free to wrestle in the fields, taunt him from a distance, calling him soot sprite when they think you can't hear. You clench your jaw, knowing he'll face the same isolation. You did no invitations to the harvest dance, no seat at the tavern's loudest table. Socially, he's already an outsider, tied to the forge's fire before he can choose. Joke 1, the village kids think he's part goblin, but you're pretty sure goblins get better birthday gifts. You teach him everything: how to gauge heat by color, tap not slam, listen to the metals hum. Your lessons are sharp, not cruel, but there's no room for softness. A mistake could burn him, ruin a blade, or cost the family's name. You catch yourself barking, hold it right, or that's too cold, and see his shoulders slump. You soften when you can a story by the fire. A dried apple slipped his way, but the forge eats tenderness fast. You're not just raising a son, you're forging a successor, and the village expects him to be as unbreakable as you. They don't care that he's a child. They need nails, not excuses. The social world outside the forge is a maze of slights and expectations. The guild, if your village has one, offers a flicker of community, other craftsmen who nod at your shared scars. But guilds are for towns, not your muddy hamlet. The cooper or tanner might swap a quick tale when they pick up a tool, but they're gone fast, leaving you and your son to the fire's roar. The village women gossip about marriages or the priest's new robe, but they skirt you at the well, your smoky stench a barrier. Your wife, if she's still with you, bears the same weight, her hands rough from scrubbing your tunics, her eyes tired from late nights waiting for you to stumble home. She's part of this legacy, too, but the village doesn't see her either. Your son's already learning the social cost. He hears the whispers, feels the stares when he hauls coal through the village square. The baker's daughter, who once shared a crust with him, now giggles and turns away. He's not one of them, not anymore. Quirky tidbits: some medieval villages held trade games where kids mimicked craftsmen, but blacksmith boys were rarely picked too busy working to play. Your son's playtime is a memory, replaced by the forge's demands. You feel a pang of guilt, but only a pang. This is survival, not cruelty. He needs to be ready, just as you were. The forge is a cruel teacher, but it's honest. You show him how to temper steel, fold iron, and ignore a night sneer when he calls your work passable. You're not just passing down skills, you're passing down resilience, the kind that lets you hammer through hunger or scorn. Historians still argue whether blacksmith families were trapped in their trade or chose at some rows to craft for kings. Others stayed village grunts. You're not sure where you fall, but you know your son's tied to this anvil. Like it or not, he's learning to sleep through ringing ears, to wake before dawn, to carry the forge's weight. The village's social hierarchy doesn't help. The lord's men, the priest, the miller, they're the ones who get songs. Not you. You're necessary, but not celebrated. At the festival, you're working, fixing a cart axle while others dance. Your son watches from the forge's doorway, his eyes on the bonfire's glow, not the fire he's stoking. You want to tell him it gets easier, but it doesn't. You want to promise he'll be respected, but the village's nods are cold. You settle for showing him how to make a perfect nail, hoping that small victory will carry him through. Your body's a warning of what's coming for him. Your hands, scarred and swollen, barely feel the hammer's weight anymore. Your back's a hunched ruin. Your lungs cough black muck. He sees it, and you see him see it. You're not old, but you're broken, forged into something tough but brittle. Joke 2, you're so creaky, the village dogs think you're a walking gate. Good thing you don't chase them. You're teaching him to endure, to swing through pain, to ignore the village's whispers. But you wonder if you're stealing his childhood or giving him a future. The social world outside the forge feels like another country. The tavern's laughter, the church's hymns, the market's bustle. They're not for you or your son. You're the ones who keep their world spinning, but you're not invited to the feast. Yet, there's a strange pride in that. You're not part of their circles, but you're their foundation. Your son's starting to see it, too, in the way a horseshoe fits or a blade gleams. He's not just your apprentice. He's your legacy, carrying the fire you've tended. Late at night, when the forge is quiet, you watch him sleep, his small hands curled like they're still holding tongs. You feel the weight of this life, the isolation, the pain, but also the purpose. You're not just raising a boy, you're raising a blacksmith, someone to keep the fire going when your arms give out. The village may never thank you, but they'll need him just as they need you. You whisper, keep swinging, and hope he hears it in his dreams. Joke 3, you're so tied to the forge, you'd probably haunt it as a ghost scaring sparks for eternity. The hammer's clang fades, and you step from the forge's smoky grip into a shimmering haze where ancient Egypt's alchemy brews, a world of mystery and transformation. You're no longer just shaping iron, you're chasing the secrets of creation, where fire and spirit intertwine to turn the ordinary into the divine. This isn't the soot-stained shed of your village, it's the land of the Nile, where priests and mystics weave rituals that echo through time. The social world here, vibrant yet rigid, shapes alchemy's birth, pulling you into its sacred dance. You stand in ancient Egypt where the black soil of the Nile, called Chem, sparks the word chemia, the root of alchemy. This isn't just dirt, it's life, renewed yearly by floods, a symbol of potential waiting to be transformed. Historians trace alchemy's origins to Egypt around 3000 BCE, where priests blended minerals, herbs, and prayers into elixirs for gods and kings. You're not a blacksmith now, you're a seeker, drawn to temples where transformation is holy. Mummification, preserving bodies for eternity, is alchemy's first act. Flesh turned timeless through sacred salts and oils. The social elite pharaohs, priests guard these rites, their power tied to divine secrets. The social world of Egypt is a pyramid sharp and unforgiving. At the top, pharaohs are gods, their every act cosmic. Below, priests wield knowledge like a blade, their temples hubs of learning and ritual. You, a curious apprentice, linger at the edges, watching scribes etch wisdom onto papyrus. Commoners, farmers, weavers revere these mysteries, but rarely touch them. Alchemies for the chosen? You're lucky to be here. Maybe a priest's aid, but your place is fragile. One wrong word, one spilled elixir, and you're back to hauling Nile mud. Joke one, you're so nervous, you'd probably mix sacred oil with donkey fat and call it a prayer. Alchemy's not just science, it's spiritual. You learn that to change matter, say, copper to gold, you must first understand its soul. Temples buzz with chants, the air heavy with incense and ambition. You mix herbs for healing balms, grind minerals for royal dyes, each act a step toward the divine. The social hierarchy shapes your work. Priests demand perfection, their status tied to flawless rituals. You're awed by their robes, their calm, but you hear whispers rival priests scheming, vying for Pharaoh's favor. Even here, in this sacred space, ambition burns hotter than your forge ever did. The village back home saw you as a necessity. Here, you're a shadow, valued only for your precision. Priests nod at your work but don't invite you to their feasts. Scribes, with their inked fingers, look down on your sweaty tunic. Commoners, toiling in fields, envy your temple access but fear its mysteries. You're caught in a social limbo, not elite, not peasant, just a cog in the alchemical machine. Quirky tidbits, some Egyptian alchemists wore amulets shaped like scarabs, believing they channeled transformation's power. You've got one, a cheap clay version, but it's more hope than magic. You're learning fast alchemies everywhere. It's in the bread, baked with Nile grain, the beer brewed with sacred yeast, the oils anointing Pharaoh's brow. Transformation is Egypt's heartbeat, and you're part of it, stirring vats of natron or crushing ochre for paint. But the social rules are strict, speak only when spoken to. Bow to priests. Never touch the sacred tools without blessing. You've seen an apprentice whipped for spilling mercury. The temple's no place for mistakes. Your hands, scarred from the forge, now tremble under new pressure. The village's snubs were cold. Egypt's are sharp. The gods loom large, especially Thoth, the ibis-headed master of wisdom. You hear tales of his teachings, whispered in temple shadows, how he revealed creation's secrets, how he scribes the universe's laws. Priests claim alchemy flows from him, a divine gift for those worthy. You're not sure you're worthy, but you listen, absorbing chants that blend star maps with metal lore. The social order reinforces this. Only priests commune with Thoth directly. You get their scraps. Second-hand wisdom filtered through their egos. Joke 2, you're so low on the totem pole, Thoth probably thinks you're a broom. Historians still argue whether Egyptian alchemy was practical or spiritual. Some say it birthed chemistry. Others call it ritual theater. You see, both the balms heal, the dyes dazzle, but the chants feel like spells, pulling you beyond the physical. You're not just mixing, you're seeking, chasing a truth bigger than gold. The temple's social world, though, keeps you grounded. Priests hoard knowledge, sharing only what you need. Commoners outside pray for miracles you help craft, but they'll never know your name. You're a bridge between worlds, unseen by both. Your days are long, starting with dawn prayers, ending with moonlit vats. You're tired, but the temple's rhythm is hypnotic chant. Stir, grind, repeat. You're starting to love it, not the hierarchy, but the act of transformation. A perfect balm, a gleaming dye. It's like forging a blade back home. Only holier. You're not invited to the priest's feasts, but you hear their laughter, see their golden cups. You don't belong there, but you belong here, in the crucible of creation. The social slights fade when you're stirring something eternal. The village's forge was your prison, the temple's your puzzle. You're not just a worker now, you're a seeker, even if the priests don't see it. You're learning to read the Nile's cycles, to feel the gods in the fire's flicker. The social world may box you in, but alchemy opens doors maybe not to Pharaoh's court, but to something deeper. You clutch your scarab amulet, hoping it's enough to carry you through. Joke 3. You're so deep in alchemy, you'd probably try to transmute your lunch into gold spoiler. It's still lentils. The Nile's fertile mysteries linger in your mind, but now you stand in the shadow of Thoth's wisdom, clutching the enigma of the Emerald Tablet, a cryptic key to alchemy's heart. You're not stirring vats in an Egyptian temple anymore. You're a seeker in a world where transformation is both divine riddle and social currency. The tablet's words, barely a dozen lines, promise to unlock matter, spirit, and reality itself. But the social hierarchy around you guards its secrets like a jealous god. In this ancient world, alchemy's allure draws you deeper. Yet the social web of priests, scribes, and commoners keeps you at arm's length. The Emerald Tablet, said to be inscribed on green crystal, is no ordinary text. Its opening line, "That which is above is like that which is below haunts you," a principle suggesting the cosmos mirrors the soul, the lab echoes the heavens. Historians trace its legend to Hellenistic Egypt around 300 BCE, blending Thoth's wisdom with Greek philosophy. You're not a priest, just a temple aide, maybe a scribe's apprentice, but you've heard whispers of the tablet's power. It's not a recipe for gold. It's a worldview, urging you to refine ignorance into wisdom, chaos into harmony. The social elite priests and pharaohs claim its secrets, their status tied to divine knowledge. You're in Alexandria now, a bustling hub where Egyptian, Greek, and Persian ideas collide. The social world here is vibrant but brutal. Priests in Thoth's temple wield authority, their ibis-headed god a symbol of cosmic order. Scribes, with their inked reeds, record sacred texts, looking down on your sweaty tunic. Commoners, fishers, potters throng the markets, their lives untouched by the tablet's riddles. You're a nobody, fetching scrolls or grinding minerals. But you listen, catching fragments of the tablet's lore. Joke 1, you're so low in the pecking order. Thoth probably thinks you're his sandal cleaner. The tablet speaks of the one thing, a source of all creation, rising from earth and descending from sky. Is it the philosopher's stone? The soul? You're not sure, but its mystery pulls you like the forge's fire once did. Priests debate its meaning in hushed tones, their social rank letting them glimpse the full text maybe. You get second-hand scraps, filtered through their sermons. The social hierarchy is a wall. Priests commune with Thoth, scribes transcribe. And you sweep the temple floor. Commoners outside pray for miracles you help prepare, but they'll never know your role. You're a shadow in their sacred game. Alchemy's social world is a maze. The Library of Alexandria buzzes with scholars Greeks in togas, Persians in robes debating stars and metals. You're not invited to their symposia, but you overhear their talk, piecing together the tablet's ideas. It's dangerous. A misplaced word could brand you a heretic. Priests guard knowledge like gold, sharing only what keeps you useful. You've seen an apprentice banished for asking too much his curiosity outran his status. Your hands, scarred from the forge, now tremble under new rules. Don't speak. Don't touch the sacred. Don't dream too big. Joke 2. You're so cautious. You'd probably bow to a papyrus before reading it. The tablet's not just philosophy, it's power. Its principle of correspondence microcosm, reflecting macrocosm, shapes temple rituals. You mix oils for Pharaoh's anointing, each drop a cosmic act. But the social order limits you. Priests perform the rites, scribes record them, while you toil in the background, commoners, sweating in fields. Revere these mysteries, but fear them? You're caught between worlds not holy enough for the temple, not humble enough for the fields. Quirky tidbit, some alchemists wore moon-shaped amulets, believing Thoth's lunar power aided transformation. Your clay pendant's a cheap knockoff, but it's all you've got. You're learning the tablet's deeper truth transformation starts within. To transmute lead to gold, you must refine your self-ego to insight, fear to courage. Priests hint at this in chants, but their social rank keeps the full meaning from you. You steal moments to study, tracing star charts or memorizing hymns. The social slights sting scribes snicker at your clumsy Greek. Priests ignore your questions, but you persist. The tablet's promise is bigger than their scorn. You're not just a worker, you're a seeker, chasing a truth that outshines gold. The social world outside the temple is no kinder. Markets hum with traders hawking fish or linen, their chatter about taxes or floods. They don't know the tablet, but they feel its ripples Pharaoh's divine rule, bolstered by alchemical rites, keeps their world stable. You're invisible to them, a temple drudge with dusty sandals. At the tavern, sailors and potters avoid you, your ink-stained hands a mark of temple folk. You sip warm beer alone, wondering if the tablet's wisdom could change your place. Historians still argue whether the tablet was a real text or a later myth. Some say it's lost. Others call it allegory. You believe it's real, if only in your heart. Your days blend into nights, grinding pigments, fetching scrolls, dodging priests' glares. The temple's rhythm chant, mix, pray, pulls you along, but the tablet's words keep you awake. You're starting to love the puzzle, not the social snubs, but the idea that everything can be refined. A perfect elixir, a gleaming die, it's like forging a blade. Only eternal. You're not part of the priest's feasts, but you're part of something bigger, a quest for the divine. The social hierarchy may box you in, but the tablet opens skies. You clutch your moon pendant, hoping it carries you through. The village forge was your cage, the temple's your crucible. You're not just a drudge, you're a spark, even if the priests don't see it. You're learning to read the stars, to feel Thoth's wisdom in the fire's glow. The social world may shun you, but alchemy's embrace is warm. You whisper the tablet's words, hoping they're enough to transform you, one secret at a time. Joke 3, you're so deep in riddles, you'd probably try to transmute your beer into wisdom, sadly. It's still just beer. The emerald tablet's riddles still echo. But now you're swept into Persia's fiery heart, where alchemy blazes with Zoroastrian zeal and economic ambition. You're no longer a temple aide puzzling over Thoth's cryptic words. You're a seeker in a land of sacred flames, where transformation is both spiritual quest and a path to wealth. Persia's bustling markets and towering fire temples shape alchemy's evolution, tying it to trade, power, and profit. The economic currents here, flowing through silk routes and royal coffers, make alchemy a glittering prize. But one you, a lowly apprentice, can barely grasp. You stand in a Persian fire temple, the air heavy with sandalwood and the crackle of an eternal flame. Zoroastrianism. Persia's ancient faith worships fire as divine wisdom, a pure force battling darkness. Alchemy here isn't just Egyptian ritual, it's a fiery philosophy, blending spiritual purity with material gain. Historians note that Persian alchemists around 500 BCE fused Zoroastrian duality light versus dark with practical experiments, seeking balance in metals and markets. You're not a priest, just an apprentice stoking temple furnaces, but you feel the fire's pull. Its promise of transmuting lead to gold, or at least lead to a better life. Persia's economy thrives on trade, its Silk Road arteries pulsing with spices, gems, and ideas. Alchemy's allure lies in its potential to create wealth gold to fill royal treasuries, elixirs to woo merchants. In bustling bazaars, traders hawk saffron and lapis while whispering of alchemists who turn dust to riches. You're far from that world, hauling charcoal for the temple's crucibles, but you hear the chatter. The wealthy nobles, caravan lords fund alchemical workshops, hoping for profit. You're paid in scraps of bread, maybe a copper coin if the priest's in a good mood. Joke 1, you're so poor, you'd try transmuting your sandals into silver spoiler. They're still holy. The economic hierarchy is stark. Priests, draped in white, tend sacred fires and guard alchemical secrets, their status tied to divine favor and royal patronage. Artisans, goldsmiths. Dyers profit from alchemical techniques, their shops glittering with wealth. You, a grubby apprentice, are at the bottom, your hands stained with ash, not gold. The temple's your workplace, but it's no haven. Priests demand flawless work mixing mercury, grinding sulfur while offering little in return. You've seen apprentices flogged for spilling costly reagents. The economy of alchemy is unforgiving. Your dream of riches feels as distant as the stars you study. Alchemy's economic promise drives innovation. You learn to distill oils for perfumes sold to Parthian traders, or mix dyes for silks bound for Rome. These aren't just crafts, they're commerce, fueling Persia's wealth. The temple's crucibles churn out alloys for coins, strengthening the king's mint. But the profits flow upward to priests, nobles, merchants, not to you. You're a cog in this glittering machine, your labor turning their wheels. Quirky tidbits, some Persian alchemists mark their vials with fire symbols, believing they held divine luck, your clay flasks unmarked. But you hope it's enough. The economic stakes shape your days. You rise before dawn, stoking furnaces for experiments that could fund a satrap's palace. Priests oversee, their eyes sharp for errors that waste costly mercury or cinnabar. You're learning fast alchemy's not just spiritual balance, it's a business. A successful elixir could buy you a new tunic, a failed one earns a priest's wrath. The bazaar's buzz traders haggling, camels groaning reminds you what's at stake. Gold's the goal, not just for glory, but for survival in a world where coin buys bread, status, freedom. Persia's economy isn't just markets, it's power. The king, a divine figure, funds alchemical research, hoping to outshine rival empires. His court, dripping with jewels, demands potions for health, dyes for splendor. You mix these under pressure, knowing a noble's whim could lift or crush you. The temple's priests, tied to the court, hoard profits, doling out meager wages. You're lucky to eat barley stew, while merchants feast on dates and lamb. Joke 2, you're so broke, you'd sell your fire-stoking skills to a dragon if it paid in gold. The social and economic worlds intertwine. Priests dine with nobles, their alchemical knowledge a ticket to influence. Artisans flaunt wealth in bazaars, their stalls crowded with buyers. You're invisible, a soot-stained nobody fetching sulfur or scrubbing crucibles. Commoners, weavers, farmers revere the temple's fires but fear its mysteries. They buy cheap amulets, hoping for alchemical luck. But you know they're just clay, like yours. You're caught in this web necessary but unnoticed, your labor fueling their riches while your hands stay empty. You're starting to love alchemy, not for the coin, there's none for you, but for the fire's truth. A perfect alloy, a glowing dye, it's like forging a blade back home, only grander. You learn to read flames, to balance sulfur and salt, to chase equilibrium. Priests hint at spiritual transformation, purifying the soul as you purify metal. But their lessons are for the elite. You steal knowledge, watching their rituals, memorizing chants. Historians still argue whether Persian alchemy was more science or mysticism. Some say it birthed metallurgy, others call it fire worship. You see both the fire's practical, but it feels alive. The economic grind wears on you. Your back aches from hauling fuel. Your eyes sting from fumes. You dream of gold, not for greed, but for a day without hunger. The temple's rhythms stir, heat. Prey pulls you along, but the bazaar's wealth taunts you. You're not invited to merchants' feasts, but you smell their roasted meat, see their silk robes, your tunics a rag, your wages a pittance. Yet, the fire keeps you going. Its glow a promise of something more, maybe not riches, but understanding. You clutch your unmarked flask, hoping it holds enough luck to carry you through. The forge was your cage, the temple's your crucible, but the economy's your chain. You're not a priest or merchant, just a spark in their fire. You learn to feel the divine in the flame's flicker, to see balance in the crucible's glow. The economic world may shun you, but alchemy's fire is warm. You whisper to the flames, hoping they'll transform you, one spark at a time. Joke 3, you're so deep in alchemy, you'd try to transmute your stew into coin. Sadly, it's still just barley. Persia's fiery crucibles fade, and now you're swept into the golden glow of Islam's intellectual dawn, where alchemy sparkles as both science and soul in the courts of Baghdad. You're no longer a soot-stained apprentice tending sacred flames. You're a seeker in a dazzling world of scholars, where Jabir ibn Hayyan Geber to the west turns alchemy into a disciplined art. The Abbasid Caliphate's bustling cities hum with trade and ideas, and alchemy's allure weaves through their vibrant tapestry, promising transformation as radiant as the desert sun. You stand in a Baghdad laboratory, the air rich with the tang of sulfur and the hum of philosophical debate. It's the 8th century, and the Islamic Golden Age is in full bloom, a time when cities like Cairo and Cordoba rival the stars for brilliance. Jabir, a polymath with a piercing gaze, is your guide, his texts blending chemistry with mysticism. Historians credit him with over 100 works, introducing methods like distillation and crystallization that shimmer in modern science's roots. You're not a scholar, just an assistant grinding minerals. But Jabir's vision balancing matter and spirit lights a fire in you brighter than any forge. Baghdad's streets pulse with life merchants hawk silks, poets recite under date palms, astronomers chart the heavens. Alchemy here isn't just temple ritual, it's a structured science, glittering with possibility. Jabir sees the universe as 4 elements: earth, air, fire, water, infused with spiritual qualities, their balance the key to perfection. You mix mercury and salt, chasing gold's equilibrium, each experiment a dance of precision and prayer. The city's wealth, built on trade routes stretching to China, funds these quests, making alchemy a jewel in the caliph's crown. Joke 1, you're so dazzled by Jabir's lab, you'd probably distill your sandal dust and call it an elixir. Jabir's methods are a revelation. You learn to distill rosewater for perfumes that enchant bazaar buyers, or crystallize salts for medicines that soothe viziers' fevers. His instruments, alembics, retorts gleam like stars, their curves a testament to ingenuity. You're awed by the precision, so unlike the forge's brute force, Jabir's texts, dense with numerology and astrology, urge you to see alchemy as a mirror transform metal. Transform yourself. The caliph's court, draped in gold, demands such wonders, elixirs for longevity, dyes for splendor. You're a small spark in this grand flame, but you feel its warmth. The social world of Baghdad is a mosaic, vibrant yet stratified. Scholars in flowing robes debate in the House of Wisdom, their words a currency richer than dinars. Artisans, calligraphers, glassmakers flourish, their crafts tied to alchemical secrets. You, a lowly assistant, are unseen, your hands stained with ochre, not ink. Not the caliph's patronage elevates Jabir, but you're paid in bread and a cot in a crowded khan. Commoners porters, weavers revere scholars, but fear alchemy's mysteries, whispering of jinn in the crucibles. You're caught between awe and invisibility, a speck in Baghdad's brilliance. Alchemy's economic stakes gleam like polished silver. The caliph funds laboratories, hoping for gold to rival Byzantine coffers or potions to cement his divine rule. Merchants buy alchemical dyes for silks sold in Samarkand, their profits glittering in bazaar stalls. You grind costly saffron for experiments, knowing a spill could cost your job. The economy's unforgiving Jabir's genius thrives, but your mistakes don't. You've seen assistants dismissed for botched distillations, their dreams evaporating like steam. Joke 2, you're so careful, you'd probably weigh your breath before exhaling near the alembic. You're learning alchemy's deeper shine balance, or mizan is its heart. Jabir teaches that gold is matter in perfect harmony, achievable through disciplined work. You stir vats, balance scales, chant under your breath, each act a step toward enlightenment. The social hierarchy, though, dims your glow. Scholars dine with viziers, their alchemical insights earning favor. You're barred from such feasts. Your place the laboratory's shadows. Commoners outside pray for the caliph's miracles. Unaware, you help craft them. Your role's vital but veiled, like a star behind dawn's haze. The laboratory's rhythm heat, cool, measure enchants you. You're not just mixing, you're weaving creation's threads, guided by Jabir's vision, his texts, blending Aristotle with Persian fire. Sparkle with ideas, every transformation mirrors the soul's ascent. You're starting to love it, not the snubs, but the alchemy's glow. A perfect tincture, a gleaming alloy, it's like forging a blade, only cosmic. You're not invited to scholars' salons, but you're part of something eternal, a quest for harmony that outshines gold. Quirky tidbit, some alchemists sealed their vials with wax stars, believing they held celestial power. Your clay seal's plain, but you hope it's enough. Baghdad's intellectual blaze fuels your dreams. You steal moments to study, tracing Jabir's symbols, memorizing his ratios. Scholars ignore your questions, their status a wall, but you persist. The city's markets, alive with spices and silks, remind you what's possible. Wealth, knowledge, transcendence. You're tired, eyes stinging from fumes, but the crucible's glow keeps you going. Historians still argue whether Jabir was a scientist or mystic. Some call him chemistry's father, others a dreamer of divine balance. You see, both his alembics are practical, but their steam feels like prayer. The social and economic worlds intertwine, a tapestry of ambition and exclusion. Scholars wield influence, their alchemical texts shaping empires. Merchants profit from your dyes, their stalls dazzling with color. You're invisible, a laborer fueling their splendor, your wages barely buying bread. Commoners revere the caliph's court, unaware your hands help sustain its glory. You clutch your plain seal, hoping it carries you through. The forge was your prison. Baghdad's laboratory is your starfield, but the hierarchy's your chain. You learn to feel the divine in the alembic's bubble, to see harmony in the crucible's shine. You whisper Jabir's words, hoping they'll transform you, one spark at a time. The village's soot was your cage. Baghdad's brilliance is your crucible. You're not a scholar, just a spark in their fire, but alchemy's glow is yours. You stir the vat, balance the scale, chase the universe's secrets. The social world may dim your light, but alchemy's radiance is warm. You dream of gold, not for coin, but for truth. A harmony as dazzling as Baghdad's dawn. Joke 3, you're so deep in alchemy. You'd try to distill your stew into stardust, sadly. It's still just lentils. Baghdad's golden crucibles dim, and now you're plunged into medieval Europe's shadowy allure, where alchemy glimmers as a forbidden quest for the philosopher's stone. You're no longer a lab assistant stirring vats under Jabir's gaze. You're a cloaked seeker in a world of flickering candles and suspicious priests, chasing a dream that sparkles with promise and peril. Europe's castles and monasteries hum with whispered secrets, and alchemy's mystique weaves through their stone walls. A radiant thread in a tapestry of faith and fear. You stand in a hidden chamber, the air thick with wax and mercury, your heart racing as you pore over a cryptic manuscript. It's the 12th century, and Europe's awakening from its slumber, hungry for knowledge smuggled from Islamic lands. The philosopher's stone, said to transmute lead to gold and grant eternal life, shines in every alchemist's dream. Historians note that texts like Jabir's, translated in Toledo, ignited this obsession, blending science with spiritual yearning. You're not a monk or noble, just a scholar's apprentice, but the stone's legend lights a fire in you, brighter than any forge. Europe's intellectual dawn is a mosaic of light and shadow. Monasteries glow with scribes copying ancient texts, while universities in Paris and Bologna buzz with debate. Alchemy here isn't just chemistry, it's a holy grail, shimmering with divine possibility. You mix sulfur and lead, chasing the stone's elusive glow, each experiment a prayer wrapped in precision. The stone's not just a substance, it's a metaphor for perfection, promising wealth, immortality, and a soul polished to radiance. Joke 1, you're so enchanted by the stone, you'd probably try to transmute your porridge into its spoiler. It's still lumpy. The philosopher's stone dazzles with allegory. Manuscripts call it the red powder or lapis philosophorum, their pages alive with serpents, suns, and dragon symbols of transformation stages. You learn the magnum opus nigredo blackening, decay, albedo whitening, purification, citrinitas yellowing, illumination, rubedo reddening, rebirth. Each step mirrors your soul's journey, a radiant path from ignorance to divinity. You're awed by the process. So unlike the forge's brute clang, nobles fund your master's work, hoping for gold to rival kings. You're paid in candle stubs and a damp cot. The stone's promise gleams, but it's not yours to hold. The social world of Europe is a labyrinth, vibrant yet treacherous. Clerics in velvet robes wield church authority, eyeing alchemy with suspicion. Scholars like Albertus Magnus debate in cloisters, their words a currency of power. You, a scruffy apprentice, are unseen, your hands stained with lead, not glory. Nobles, lords, dukes covet the stone's wealth, their castles glittering with ambition. Commoners, bakers, tanners whisper of alchemists as sorcerers, fearing your crucible's glow. You're caught in this web, vital but vulnerable, a spark in a world ready to burn you. Quirky tidbit, some alchemists hid their notes in green language. Puns veiling secrets, your scribbles are just smudged ink, but you hope they're enough. Alchemy's allure comes with danger. The church, a towering force, sees the stone's quest as heresy man, playing God. You've heard of alchemists branded, their books burned. Your master cloaks his work in Christian allegory, calling the stone Christ's resurrection, but the risk lingers. You mix potions by night, hiding from prying monks. The social hierarchy is a chained cleric's judge, nobles demand, and you obey. Commoners outside pray for salvation, unaware you chase a miracle in their name. Your role's hidden, like a star behind cathedral spires. You're learning alchemy's radiant truth. The stone's not just gold, it's transcendence. To transmute metal, you must purify yourself, ego to wisdom, fear to faith. Manuscripts hint at this, their symbols a dance of soul and matter. You stir vats, balance scales, murmur prayers, each act a step towards enlightenment. The social snubs sting, scholars scoff at your broken Latin. Clerics ignore your pleas, but you persist. The stone's promise is bigger than their scorn. You're not just a drudge, you're a seeker, chasing a light that outshines gold. Historians still argue whether the stone was literal or symbolic. Some say it was a chemical goal, others a spiritual ideal. You believe it's both a substance and a dream. The chamber's rhythm heat. Cool. Scribe enchants you. You're not just mixing, you're weaving creation's threads. Guided by translated texts, sparkling with Jabir's wisdom. You're starting to love it, not the danger, but the alchemy's glow. A perfect tincture, a gleaming alloy, it's like forging a blade, only eternal. You're not invited to nobles' banquets, but you're part of something cosmic, a quest for perfection that dazzles like stained glass. You steal moments to study, tracing dragons, memorizing ratios. The church's shadow looms, but the crucible's light keeps you going. The social and spiritual worlds intertwine, a tapestry of risk and wonder. Scholars wield influence, their alchemical texts shaping courts. Nobles profit from your potions, their coffers gleaming with hope. You're invisible, a laborer fueling their splendor, your wages barely buying bread. Commoners revere the church, unaware your hands chase a miracle in their shadow. You clutch your smudged notes, hoping they carry you through. The forge was your prison, this chamber's your star field. But the church is your chain. You learn to feel the divine in the crucible's bubble, to see perfection in the alembics shine. You whisper manuscript verses, hoping they'll transform you, one spark at a time. The village's soot was your cage. Europe's secrecy is your crucible. You're not a scholar, just a spark in their fire, but alchemy's glow is yours. You stir the vat, balance the scale, chase the universe's secrets. The social world may dim your light, but alchemy's radiance is warm. You dream of the stone, not for coin, but for truth. A perfection as dazzling as a cathedral's rose window. Joke 2, you're so deep in alchemy, you'd try to transmute your stew into eternity sadly. It's still just barley. The chamber's glow fades as you work, eyes stinging from fumes, hands trembling from cold. You're tired, but the stone's promise keeps you awake. The monastery's bells toll, a reminder of the church's watch. You hide your notes, pray the monks don't knock. The social hierarchy may box you in, but the stone's light opens skies. You're not part of their feasts, but you're part of something eternal, a quest as radiant as dawn. You murmur, as above, so below, and hope it's enough to carry you through. Joke 3, you're so lost in the stone's dream, you'd probably see dragons in your candle flame, too bad they don't pay rent. The philosopher's stone fades into legend, and now you're plunged beneath the earth's skin into Cappadocia's mesmerizing underground cities, where stone and shadow weave a tale of survival and mystery. You're no longer a cloaked alchemist chasing divine riddles. You're an explorer in a subterranean world, where entire communities carved homes from volcanic rock, their lives glowing like hidden embers. The sun-drenched valleys above shimmer with fairy chimneys. But below, a labyrinth of tunnels and chambers sparkles with secrets, pulling you into a realm as enchanting as any alchemical dream. You stand at the edge of Derinkuyu, a city buried 18 stories deep, its cool air brushing your face like a whisper from the past. Discovered in 1963 when a villager broke through a basement wall, it's a marvel of ancient engineering, housing up to 20,000 souls. Historians date its major expansion to the Byzantine era, around 500 CE, but some chambers hint at Hittite origins, nearly 2000 BCE. You're not a scholar, just a curious wanderer, but the scale of this place rooms, tunnels, wells lights a spark in you brighter than any forge or crucible. The rock here, soft, volcanic, tough, is a sculptor's dream, easy to carve yet strong enough to hold for centuries. You trace the walls, smooth as moonlight, carved with chisels and patience, homes, kitchens, chapels, even stables unfold in a maze of stone, each chamber glowing with purpose. Ventilation shafts snake to the surface, pulling fresh air through levels deep enough to dizzy you. Massive rolling stone doors, like millstones. Sealed tunnels, their edges gleaming with precision. You push one, feeling its weight, a silent guardian against threats above. Joke 1, you're so awed, you'd probably try to carve a bed from tough hope it's comfier than your straw pallet. Cappadocia's surface is a fairy tale, conical spires, mushroom rocks, but below, it's a fortress of secrets. You wander narrow corridors lit by imagined oil lamps, their flickering dance-painting shadows that shimmer like alchemical visions. Churches carved with crosses glow with faith, their altars etched for worship. Kitchens, with clay ovens, hint at bread baked in defiance of danger. Wells tap hidden aquifers, their water sparkling like liquid starlight. This isn't a hideout, it's a civilization, radiant with intent, built to thrive in darkness. The social world above shaped this underworld. Early Christians, fleeing Roman or Arab raids, likely expanded these cities, their faith a beacon in the rock. But the Hittites, or even older tribes, may have started them, their motives lost to time. You imagine families huddling here, their whispers echoing in stone halls. Leaders planned, priests prayed, children learned all underground, their lives a hidden symphony. You're a nobody, maybe a farmer's kin, but you feel their resilience, their will to endure. The social order elders, artisans, laborers mirrored the surface, but here, survival trumped status. Why build so deep? The question glimmers like a buried gem. Invaders Persians, Arabs threatened Cappadocia's valleys, driving people below. But the scale, the precision, suggests more than panic. Some theorize natural disasters, volcanic winters. Floods prompted these bunkers. Others whisper of stranger fears giants, sky gods, beings from myth. Quirky tidbit local legends tell of fire-eyed hunters chasing tribes' underground folklore. Maybe, but it chills you as you trace a tunnel's curve. You wonder if they hid from something human eyes couldn't see. Their fear as real as the stone. The engineering dazzles you. Ventilation shafts, some 50 meters deep, breathe life into the depths. Their design a stroke of genius. Wells, sealed from surface poisoning, sparkle with foresight. Narrow corridors twist, forcing invaders to crawl single file, easy to trap. Escape tunnels lead to valleys, their exits hidden like alchemical secrets. You marvel at the planning generations of hands carving, chiseling, dreaming. Historians still argue whether these cities were Christian refuges or older sanctuaries. Some say Byzantine, others Hittite. You see both a fortress of faith and a relic of ancient dread. Life here wasn't just survival, it was vibrant. You imagine families in stone chambers, their laughter soft but defiant. Communal kitchens glowed with shared meals, their scent of bread a flicker of home. Chapels hosted weddings, baptisms, their crosses etched with hope. You're starting to love this world, not the darkness, but its resilience. It's like forging a blade or chasing the philosopher's stone, a creation born of will. You're not invited to their rituals, but you feel their spirit, a community that turned rock into refuge. The social world above was chaos raids, empires clashing but below. It was order. Leaders organized labor, artisans carved beauty, laborers hauled stone. Everyone had a role, their unity a light in the gloom. You're a wanderer, not a leader, but you sense their bond, stronger than any forge's fire. Commoners above faced swords. Here, they faced shadows, their courage gleaming brighter. You trace a cross, wondering if it held their fears at bay. Joke too, you're so deep underground, you'd probably pray to a stalactite. Hope it's a forgiving God. The mystery of Cappadocia's cities shimmers like an unlit torch. Why so vast, so deep? Were they hiding from invaders or something older, stranger? The stone holds no answers, just echoes. You walk a tunnel, feeling the weight of centuries, the air cool but alive. The city's glow isn't in gold or fire, it's in endurance, a testament to people who carved hope from darkness. You're not a historian, just a soul drawn to their story, but you feel their pulse in every chamber. You pause at a sealed tunnel, its darkness a siren's call. The surface world its wars. Its wealth feels distant. Here, the stone's your crucible, survival your alchemy. You're not part of their feasts or battles, but you're part of something eternal, a legacy as radiant as any stone. You whisper to the walls, hoping they'll share their secrets, one echo at a time. Joke 3, you're so lost in these tunnels, you'd probably carve a map on your hand. Good luck finding the exit. Darren Cuyu's stone whispers fade, and now you're lulled deeper into Cappadocia's underground embrace, where daily life glows softly in the hush of rock-carved chambers. You're no longer an explorer tracing tunnels. You're a dweller, your world a sleepy symphony of stone, oil lamps, and murmured prayers. The subterranean city cradles you, its cool walls a gentle hum against the chaos above, where wars rage and suns blaze. Here, life unfolds in a dreamy rhythm, each moment a flicker of resilience wrapped in velvet shadows. You wake in a stone chamber, the air cool and still, your straw mat a whisper against the tough floor. No sunlight spills through cracks, only the soft glow of oil lamps paints the walls, their flames dancing like drowsy stars. Families live in these carved compartments, their voices a low murmur, blending with the drip of a distant well. Historians estimate cities like Darren Cuyu housed thousands, with multi-room homes designed for privacy yet woven into a communal tapestry. You're not a leader, just a weaver's kin, but the city's quiet pulse soothes you, softer than any forge's clang or alchemist's chant. Life here is a gentle cadence, each task a brushstroke on a canvas of stone. You shuffle to a communal kitchen, its clay oven radiating warmth, the scent of baking bread, a sleepy hug. Women knead dough, their hands dusted with flour, while children carry water from deep wells, their laughter a faint chime. The tough walls, smooth as a lullaby, keep summers cool and winters mild, a natural cradle for this hidden world. Ventilation shafts sigh fresh air, their breath a subtle song through 18 levels, lulling you as you work. The city's layout is a dreamy maze. Living quarters hug the upper levels, close to exits for fleeting surface trips. Deeper down, kitchens and storage rooms glow with purpose, their placement a yawn against fire or spoilage. You pass a chapel, its cross-etched altar a beacon of faith, the air heavy with murmured psalms. Schools, carved with benches, whisper of children learning letters by lamplight, their voices a drowsy hum. You're starting to love this world, not the dark, but its soft defiance, a community that blooms like moss in shadow. Joke 1, you're so cozy here, you'd probably nap on a stone bench, hope it's softer than your village pallet. Social bonds weave this world tight, a blanket against the cold above. Elders share tales by lampglow, their words a sleepy thread through generations. Artisans carve crosses or grind grain, their hands steady as a dream. You, a weaver, thread wool into cloaks sold to surface traders. Your looms clack a gentle beat. The social order mirrors the surface leader's plan. Priests pray, but here, survival softens egos. Everyone's a neighbor, their doors open, their fires shared. Historians note Byzantine Christians likely thrived here, their faith a light in the rock, but older tribes may have started this dream. Life's not easy, but it's deliberate, a slow waltz in stone. Air's scarce, rationed by shafts. You breathe shallow, savoring each sigh. Darkness presses, a velvet weight, broken by dozens of lamps, their smoke curling like a yawn. You draw water from wells, their depths a sleepy secret, sealed from surface poison. Grain stores, tucked in sealed chambers, rustle with promise, while wine presses drip with ritual's quiet joy. Livestock goats, chickens huddle in pens near entrances, their warmth a dozy comfort, their bleats a faint lullaby. The city's psychology is a soft spell, Chambers curve for privacy, letting families whisper dreams without echoes. Communal halls, wide and low, hum with gatherings, weddings, feasts, prayers, their warmth, a drowsy cocoon. You join a meeting, elders' voices a gentle drone, discussing grain or raids above. Children play in corridors, their giggles a sleepy ripple, chasing shadows instead of sun. Quirky tidbit, some chambers had niches for dreamstones, believed to guard sleep your pebbles plain, but you hope it wards off nightmares. You're learning to live with intention, each act a verse in a quiet hymn. You weave, pray, share bread, each moment a flicker of home. The surface's chaos swords, storms feels like a bad dream, faded in this stone embrace. Historians still argue why these cities thrived, Christian refuge or ancient sanctuary. You see both a haven of faith and a cradle of survival. Its glow eternal. The rocks your crucible, community your alchemy, turning fear into hope with every sleepy step. The city's not just a shelter, it's a slumbering soul. You pass a baptismal chamber, its basin a whisper of new beginnings. The air thick with chanted blessings. Long corridors echo with footsteps, their rhythm a dozy pulse. You pause at a storage vault, its jars of oil and grain a promise of tomorrow. Their scent a gentle nudge toward rest. The city's alive, its stone breathing with the dreams of thousands. Their resilience a soft light in the gloom. Joke too, you're so lulled by the stone, you'd probably snooze through a raid unless they needed cloaks woven. The social web here is a dreamy quilt. Families marry, mourn, teach, their lives intertwined like roots. Priests lead vespers, their chants a sleepy tide, while artisans swap skills, pottery for wool, hope for hope. You're not a hero, just a weaver, but your threads hold this world together. Commoners above faceblades, here they face shadows, their courage a quiet glow. You trace a wall, feeling their pulse, their faith, their will to endure. The city's not just rock, it's a heart, beating slow and sure. You settle in your chamber, the lamp's glow a fading star. The surface world its wars, its suns feels like a distant tale. Here, the stone's your lullaby, survival your dream. You're not part of their battles, but you're part of something eternal, a legacy as soft as lamplight. You whisper a prayer, hoping the rock holds your secrets, one sigh at a time. Joke 3, you're so deep in this dreamy city, you'd probably weave a blanket from shadows, good luck staying awake. Cappadocia's underground hums with quiet life. But now you're drawn deeper into its shadowy heart, where unanswered questions linger like a drowsy mist. You're no longer weaving cloaks in stone chambers. You're a wanderer, tracing tunnels that whisper of ancient fears and forgotten truths. The subterranean cities, soft as a lullaby, cradle mysteries that flicker like fading oil lamps. Their secrets a sleepy riddle wrapped in volcanic rock. As you drift through this dreamy labyrinth, the past's enigmas soothe you, pulling you toward slumber's gentle embrace. You pause in a sealed tunnel, its cool air a velvet sigh against your skin. Darankuyu's vastness. 18 levels, thousands of souls feels like a dream you can't quite grasp. Historians tie its growth to Byzantine Christians, fleeing Arab raids around 700 CE, but deeper chambers hint at Hittite hands, perhaps 2000 BCE. No inscriptions mark these walls, no names echo in the stone, only silence, soft and heavy, like a blanket over time. You're not an archaeologist, just a soul lulled by the rock's quiet, but the mystery's glow, faint as moonlight, beckons you onward. Why build so deep, so vast? The question drifts like a sleepy breeze. Invaders, Persians, Romans, Arabs loomed above, their swords a waking nightmare, yet the city's scale, their polished precision, murmur of something more deliberate, A plan spun over centuries, some whisper of natural cataclysms, volcanic winters, floods that drove tribes below, their bunkers a yawn against chaos. Others dream of stranger threats, giants, sky gods, beings woven from starlight and fear. Quirky tidbit local tales speak of fire from the heavens, a myth that soothes you like a bedtime story, even as it chills your bones. The stone holds no answers, just echoes, each one a drowsy note in a lullaby of loss. You trace a ventilation shaft, its breath a soft hum, wondering who carved it, what they fled. Was it human blades or something older? A shadow that hunted dreams. The Hittites, fierce and forgotten, may have started these tunnels, their fears lost to dust, or were they Phrygians, their gods whispering of Earth's embrace? Historians still argue the city's true age, Byzantine or Bronze Age, but the rock, smooth as a sigh, keeps its counsel, lulling you deeper. The city's purpose flickers like a fading ember. Were they refuges, spiritual sanctuaries, or something stranger, a descent into the underworld, a sleepy ritual of death and rebirth? Some chambers, sealed and silent, feel like temples, their air thick with unspoken prayers. You imagine priests chanting, their voices a drowsy tide, seeking gods in the dark. Or were these cities forgotten on purpose, their makers vanishing like a dream at dawn? The mystery's glow, soft as lamplight, wraps you in wonder, your eyelids heavy with its weight. You wander a corridor, its curves a gentle sway, the stone cool under your fingers. Unexplored tunnels branch into shadow, their secrets a whisper you can't catch. In 2014, a new complex near Nevşehir was uncovered, its scale a sleepy promise of more to come: aqueducts, chapels, tunnels stretching like veins in a dozing giant. You're starting to love this world, not the unknown, but its quiet defiance, a puzzle that rocks you toward rest. Joke 1, you're so lulled by the stone, you'd probably nap in a tunnel, hope it's cozier than your old pallet. The city's engineering, a dreamy feat, soothes you like a mother's hum. Rolling stone doors, heavy as slumber, seal passages with a sigh. Ventilation shafts breathe life, their design a yawn of genius. Wells, deep and still, shimmer with foresight, their water a sleepy secret. You marvel at the hands that carved this, their chisels a soft song against tough. Were they families, artisans, slaves? Their lives a flicker in the rock's eternal dream. The social web leaders, laborers, priests fades, but their unity glows, a quiet light in the gloom. The mysteries aren't just historical, they're a sleepy spell. Some theorize cosmic fears, solar flares. Falling stars drove people below, their bunkers a shield against skies gone mad. Others weave tales of ancient watchers, beings from myth, their eyes burning like forgotten coals. These stories, half-dreamed, cradle you, their strangeness a gentle nudge toward sleep. You trace a wall, feeling the pulse of those who hid here, their courage and drowsy warmth. The stone's not just rock, it's a heart, beating slow and sure. You settle in a chamber, the lamp's glow a fading star. The surface, its wars, its suns feels like a tale told at bedtime, distant and blurred. Here, the stone's your lullaby, survival, your dream. You're not part of their battles, but you're woven into something eternal, a legacy as soft as shadow. You whisper to the walls, hoping they'll share one last secret, one last sigh. Joke 2. You're so deep in this dreamy maze, you'd probably carve a pillow from tough good luck staying awake. As you drift, the city's glow lingers, a quiet promise. They're proof of endurance, of people who turned darkness into home, fear into faith. You're not a hero, just a wanderer, but their story rocks you, each chamber a verse in a sleepy hymn. The mystery's invaders, gods. Stars fade, leaving only the stone's embrace, cool and constant. You close your eyes. The rocks hum a final chord, pulling you toward dreams as deep as Derinkuyu's heart. Now, let your breath slow, sinking into the soft cradle of Cappadocia's stone. The tunnels, the fires, the riddles they're fating, their glow a gentle whisper, like waves lapping a distant shore. You're safe here, wrapped in the quiet of ancient lives. Their courage a blanket over your heart. The forges clang, the crucibles hiss, the stones sigh, they're just echoes now, drifting away, leaving only peace. Feel your limbs grow heavy, your thoughts soft as lamplight, each worry slipping into shadow. The world above can wait. Tonight, you rest, held by the earth's sleepy embrace. Let the mysteries linger, unanswered, their hush a lullaby for your soul. Drift now, deeper, into dreams as vast as these hidden cities, where every secret is a star, glowing just for you. Sleep well, wanderer, and let the stone keep watch. Sweet dreams.